friends, welcome to my Catching Fire reading vlog. So since I didn't do a live show for Catching Fire, and Mockingjays is supposed to read a few days, but obviously that's not happening. We love coronavirus messing with our head, yeah. So I figured, since there's no like live show and stuff, I would just do a very in-depth reading vlog with all my thoughts. I figured, you know, I'd like update every 50 pages or whatever. But I'm 10 pages in and I've already like tabbed and highlighted or underlined so much shit that I feel like I already need to have a talk. So obviously there's going to be spoilers in this because I'm just gonna say all my thoughts. If you haven't read Catching Fire, go do that. Come back. It'll be fun. I literally have had to keep stopping because I'm so emotional. If you know me, you know that I'm a Gale stan. I love Gale Hawthorne. I always will. He's my boy. And there's just so much in the beginning of this that makes me emo. So Gale is like 18, 19 in this, and so he started working in the mines, and it just has me so emo. Gale's dad died in the mines, just like Katniss's did. I feel like people forget. And now he's down there working 12-hour days, Monday through Saturday, just to keep his family afloat. And it is a little like prideful of him, I guess, because he doesn't like accepting like Katniss's help. He's like, I don't want your money and everything. Although his like mom like accepts it on the down low, which is so funny to me. But like, I think it's, I guess, natural for him to want to push away anything that comes from the capital when the capital has literally oppressed him his whole entire life and put him where he is. Basically, in a way, it is blood money, and I think you can think of it like that without like putting down Katniss, because obviously it's not her fault that she was chosen, and obviously he wanted her to come home. We all wanted her to come home. This is one of the quotes that gets me when Katniss is talking about like how awful the mines are and like claustrophobic and just bad. She says, I think of Gale, who is only really alive in the woods with its fresh air and sunlight and clean flowing water. I don't know how he stands it. Well, yes I do. He stands it because it's the way to feed his mother and 2 younger brothers and sister. My boy. And then page 8 is really a doozy, because this is where Katniss goes and sees Gale's mom, Hazel. I just need to read this paragraph because people pay Gale and his family dust. Still upset that they weren't in the movie. Like, you can say it's non-essential, but like, to some people. But it says, I like Hazel, respect her. The explosion that killed my father took out her husband as well, leaving her with 3 boys and a baby due any day. Less than a week after she gave birth, she was out hunting the streets for work. The mines weren't an option with a baby to look after, but she managed to get laundry from some of the merchants in town. At 14, Gale, the eldest of the kids, became the main supporter of the family. He was already signed up for Tesserae, which entitled them to a meager supply of grain and oil in exchange for his entering his name extra times in the drawing to become a tribute. But they are determined, Hazel and Gale, that the other boys, 12-year-old Rory and 10-year-old Vic, and the baby, 4-year-old Posey, will never have to sign up for Tesserae. I love him and I love his family. So that's my emotions over Gale Hawthorne. And then I got emotional again, so that's why I was like, I need to bring out the camera. And Katniss is talking about going to the Hob and how Gracie Say started like a fund for her and PETA to like called sponsor them, and everyone in the Hob chipped in, and then everyone in the district, and even though they're poor, they still because Katniss meant so much to them. But yeah, okay, I'm gonna try to actually read more than 10 pages without needing to stop and tweet and vlog and cry. I'm sorry, but I'm at the scene where Katniss gets home and President Snow is there, and she's looking at his lips and she's like, they're overly full and the skin stretched too tight. I have to wonder if his mouth has been altered to make him more appealing. If so, it was a waste of time and money because he's not appealing at all. Did he get plastic surgery to make him look better? Cause he's still ugly. Katniss Everdeen is that bitch. So I just got to Gale's whipping scene and I'm not okay. So what a perfect time to take a break, talk about some things that have happened. Going back to her scene with President Snow at her house. I keep comparing the book with the movie in my head as I'm reading this, because obviously I've seen the movie a million times and movies are kind of easier to memorize than books. They followed the book like to the T, except for the part where President Snow is basically telling her that he knows about the kiss between her and Gale. In the movie, he just like puts up a projector that like shows a captured image of it. But in the book, it says, I don't watch him as he heads for the door, so I flinch when he whispers in my ear, By the way, I know about the kiss. I have chills. They're multiplying. Why did the movie defer? Like, that would have been so good, but that's on there. I also forgot how much I just love her dialogue and relationship with Cinna. In the movie, it pretty much stays pretty sweet, but in the book, they have really funny moments. Like, Katniss is supposed to learn a skill as a victor, and she doesn't want to do any of the skills, so he's like, we'll just say you have a passion for designing clothes, and like, I'll do all the work. And so he's showing her like the sketchbooks and designs that he did to say that are hers, and she goes, you know, I think I show a lot of promise. And he says, get dressed, you worthless thing. I love it. These books are so like heavy that you forget there is like a little humor sprinkled in every now and then. The scene in District 11, they're on the victory tour, and you know, if you know, you know. If you don't, I don't know why you're here, because you're being spoiled. But where they basically give their speech and all the craziness breaks out. This one is probably one of my favorite Peeta moments, when he's like, it can't replace what you lost, but we're gonna give you money. I will say this scene is probably a little sadder in the movie, just because you're getting like that visual. I also feel like I've gotten like, I don't want to say immune to it by now, but I've experienced it so many times that my brain is like, yep, we know what this is. Also love that when they make the plan to basically have Peeta propose to her, and she's like confused why he's so upset, and Haymitch is like, he wanted it to be real. You know, it's kind of odd. But then the next line is, I go back to my room and lie under the covers, trying not to think of Gale and thinking of nothing else. And I'm just like, when they're talking about their nightmares, and Peeta's like, my nightmares are usually about losing you. I'm okay once I realize you're here. And she says, Also at their victor party in the Capitol, when all the Capitol citizens are like showing off their Mockingjay accessories and whatnot, and she says that some even show tattoos in intimate places. I'm just like, were they just like, Katniss, look at my boob with a Mockingjay on it. Katniss, look at my dick with a Mockingjay on it. Maybe it was just like their thigh, but that's not where my brain went. We also get a little bit of Katniss and Madge, who is deserves so much better. The movies just took her out completely. And I have more things to say about Madge, especially pertaining to Gale, which I will talk about as we move along here. Actually pretty quick, because we're at the whipping scene. Oh no. But I want to see, like I tweeted, like, is there a fanfic of Katniss and Madge out in the woods together? I would like to see it. I'm sure there is, and I probably read one, because I used to read Hunger Games fanfic like it was my job. But I just love that we get that like a little bit of her and a female friend, and I don't know, would I kind of low-key ship it? Maybe so. Maybe so. Chapter 7 is a big one for me, because it's when she sees Gale and like tells him like, oh, President Snow wants to kill you, or he threatened you, and blah 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 blah. She literally tells him that. He's just like, anyone else? So chill about it. I love him. Also, she has a whole paragraph just like about his hands. I watch his hands, his beautiful, capable fingers, scarred as mine were before the Capitol erased all marks from my skin, but strong and deft. Hands that have the power to mine coal, but the precision to set a delicate snare. Hands I trust. Me too. Me too, I would like to say. This chapter also has one of my favorite Gale Katniss quotes in the entire series, which is, I do think you're mad and I'll still go with you. Now, Gale does definitely get a little like moody in this scene. I've never said my boy is perfect, but I don't think his like emotions are unjustifiable. And my heart just soars when she accidentally like slips out like, there's a rebellion going on in District 8, and he's like, I love this quote, and they almost do it pretty much word for word, I would say, in the movie. Safe to do what? Starve? Work like slaves? Send their kids to the reaping? You haven't hurt people. You've given them an opportunity. They just have to be brave enough to take it. I can hear Liam Hemsworth's voice in my head. Already been talking the mines. People want to fight. Actually, that's the movie. It says people who want to fight. And like, I don't know, Katniss is like, yo, we gotta run away, gotta get out of here. And he's like, no, we need to stay here. Like, what about the other people? What about the other families? And that's why I love him so much, because he's such a little rebel boy. He wants to do good for everyone, not just himself. And the Capitol has pushed him in this direction, like oppressing him his whole life. This is becoming just a Gale stan vlog, but like, what did you expect? Anyway, so that catches you up, because now he's getting whipped and I'm gonna cry. Also, I should say Katniss's emotions are also very justifiable and understandable. Like, I would probably be Katniss in this situation. I'd be like, we gotta go, they're gonna kill us. Like, I am not the Gale in this situation. I'm definitely the like, save my own ass. I think that's one of the most interesting things about the Hunger Games is that Katniss isn't this character who like wants to go into a rebellion or like wants to be the chosen person to lead this thing. She is reluctant every single time. She's like, I did not sign up for this. And then there's Gale that has like that counterpoint where they have like the same belief system. Gale and Katniss, they're so similar, but their approaches are different. And Katniss, being the one that's in the spotlight and feeling like everything is on her, feels like she just needs to not make things worse. So the last time I talked, I told you that I had to put the book down because Gale's whipping was coming. Last night I picked it back up, read exactly one chapter, and had to stop. If you're tired of this being a vlog about Gale Hawthorne, don't worry. Soon the games will happen and this will be a vlog about Finnick Odair. Basically, I have come to the conclusion that chapter 8 of Catching Fire is both the worst and best chapter to read as a Gale stan, because worst whipped to like inches of death. That didn't exactly make sense, but this does have, again, one of my favorite Peeta lines, actually, so we love to see it, or you guys do. He comes up when Katniss is like in front of Gale, like, don't hurt him. The head peacekeeper says, fuck that guy, by the way. He was poaching. What business is it of hers anyway? And then Peeta says, he's her cousin, and she's my fiance. So if you want to get to him, expect to go through both of us. That means... Here's the thing about Peeta and Gale. First of all, people think that me loving Gale means I hate Peeta, which is incorrect. Second of all, they aren't really like enemies. Like, they're never like mean to each other. They just both love the same girl, and so that's obviously making them rivals of a sort. But I don't know, I feel like they're always really respectful of each other. I know there's a line that comes up somewhere in here where Gale's like, it's hard to hate Peeta because, you know, he's not a bad person. And then in Mockingjay they have their conversation, but that's for other times. So like, I don't see why people kind of pit them against each other automatically, because it's literally not in the text, it's just in the fandom narrative. That's one of the things I wish Suzanne Collins would have given us, is like Katniss, Gale, and Peeta like working together as like a team. That would have been so epic, but instead we got teams to pick. Reading the names Bristol and Thom, or maybe it's Tom, but I've always pronounced it Thom because there's an H in it. Reading those names literally flashed me back to the past. They're like people that work with Gale in the mines, and so the fandom, the Gale stans, we've always just made them like friends, and so they would like pop up in fan fictions, and I have not like thought of them in so long, so it just took me back. We get confirmation that Gale was whipped like 40 times and only passed out around 30, so that's great. Also in this we get Haymitch and Katniss's mom interacting, and they kind of like talk about their past and like the days when they were younger and how District 12 was, and I was like, now that's a prequel I would have liked to see. Suzanne, I don't know what the story is, but I know there's a story there with even maybe Katniss's mom. We'll get to this later when we talk about Haymitch's games. When Haymitch and Peeta have to literally carry Katniss out of the room where they're working on Gale because she's like so emotional, literally stabbed me in the heart. And then I tweeted last night that page 116 and 117, like, I would get them tattooed on my body. On page 116 we get my second, or maybe even tied for first, I don't know, we'll see, I should already know this, but it's been a while. Anyway, my other ship for Gale, which is Madge Undersea, the mayor's daughter, Katniss's friend. She literally leaves her house in the middle of the night, in the middle of a blizzard, to bring medicine for Gale from the capital. Like, super good medicine. You know what that means? And just this passage just gets me. I didn't even know Madge knew Gale, says Peeta. We used to sell her strawberries, I say, almost angrily. What am I angry about though? Not that she has brought the medicine, surely. She must have quite a taste for them, says Haymitch. That line? That's what nettles me. It's the implication that there's something going on between Gale and Madge, and I don't like it. So this is what kind of irritates me. Miss Suzanne Collins, if you were not going to have Katniss and Gale be endgame, why couldn't you let Gale be happy with Madge? Because clearly there was something going on. And if you remember in book 1, they had that like small interaction when they're selling strawberries and Madge is all dressed up and she's like, well, it's reaping day, and Gale's like, you would never get reaped. So it's kind of like rivals to love. Like, it would have been so good. But no, instead all we get is like Katniss being jealous, which I love because, you know. But like, Suzanne, give me something. And then they're just like, all the next parts are just so much Gale Katniss stuff. Like, she kisses him, she's touching his face. One of the best quotes in the entire series happens, which is, Gale is mine, I am his, anything else is unthinkable. The power of that quote. The power. And also, Katniss is sitting here and she's like, what if it was flipped around? What if Gale had been in the games, he had volunteered for his brother, and I was here? How would I feel if he came back home, like, with a fiance and all this stuff? And she's like, I would be angry and upset too. So, like, she's tapping into his feelings and realizing that she understands. Whether it's the right reaction or not is not the question here. It's just that these are, like, the feelings that they have because they have this very tight friendship that has kind of formed into something more, and it's new and different and everything has changed. And so, like, they're valid feelings. But people are always just like, Gale's so annoying, Gale's so this, blah 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 blah. But Katniss is literally like, I would be the same. So, like, y'all can sit on that. I also love this quote when she's like talking about the two of them and their past just being in the woods together. What a pair we were. Fatherless, frightened, but fiercely committed to keeping our families alive. Desperate, yet no longer alone after that day because we'd found each other. I could cry. I could cry. And then the chapter ends with my other favorite quote. Gale kind of wakes up for a moment and he's like, thought you'd be gone by now, because she wanted to run away. And she says, I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna stay right here and cause all kinds of trouble. And Gale says, me too. I'm emotional. I'm emotional. I was so emotional that I had to stop reading. So now I should continue or I'm never going to get through this book, and this vlog is going to be like an hour long for one book. Cindy, is it storming? So you went to the bathroom because there's no windows and it's safe? Because you're a big baby? Big baby who needs her blankie and her stuffed animal. You're a little baby.
Big waves.
Yeah, but it's okay.
I like the
because you're cute. Yes, you're so cute. So I'm at the part where Katniss just got back from the woods and she had to like hop the fence because the fence was on and the peacekeepers are waiting at her home and they're like, Fred just wanted you to know the fence is going to be on 24/7. We thought you might be interested in passing this information on to your cousin. And Katniss says, thank you, I'll tell him. I'm sure we'll all sleep a little more soundly now that security has addressed that lapse. My bitch. Also, I didn't take out the camera to record when I read this, but like, can we just talk about how Suzanne Collins did this for me? She knew. I really need to stop only taking the camera out at night because I have shit lighting. So I've gotten to the part where Quarter Quell is announced and she knows she's going back into the arena. We get this scene between her and Haymitch talking about like what they're gonna do. And we get my least favorite line in the entire series. Haymitch is like, you could live 100 lifetimes and not deserve him, you know. Bitch! First of all, fuck off. Second of all, I just hate the idea of like Katniss both feeling obligated and like other people pointing out how Peeta puts her first and he's so in love with her and blah blah blah. Like, she doesn't have to return those feelings and she doesn't owe him anything. Like, she doesn't have to think about him first over herself. And I just hate that she's always like, oh, I feel so much shame, and people are like, oh, he's so much better. I hate it, and it's probably one of the big reasons I don't really ship them, because this dynamic is so present throughout the series of like Peeta being this like great golden boy and Katniss being like not at his level just because she doesn't return his feelings. I don't know, kind of bullshit. Kind of bullshit. However, there is one part I like concerning Peeta specifically, and I hate that they didn't include this in the movie. Like, I sort of see why, because you can only include so much. But it's like the next morning and Haymitch and Katniss are like talking and like whatever. And Peeta comes in like, I threw away all the liquor and we're gonna train, and if y'all like act up, you're gonna get snatched up by the peacekeepers because I will report you. Like, oh my god, a backbone, a personality. He just doesn't really get that in the movie. He's so bland in the movie, and I think I realized that I'm not attracted to Josh Hutcherson. I have my friends turned down all the way on FaceTime, so I hope you can't still hear them, but I can still hear them, and I'm like,
do I look like the spider from that one spider movie that we all watched in childhood, but I can't remember the name of?
anyway, I just think someone, first of all, taller. I'm sorry, I love Josh Hutcherson, don't get me wrong. I love his personality, I love him as a person. I love the way that like him, Jen, and Liam all like interact together. I love them. But I just think someone taller and less baby-faced would have been better. But that's on that. And then the reason that like I took out the camera, I was like, oh, I need to talk about this. We learn that Gale is like teaching them how to do snares like for their training, and we get the line, it's weird for me being in conversations with both Peeta and Gale, but they seem to have set aside whatever issues they have about me. Imagine the power I think I've said this before, but the power of a Gale, Katniss, and Peeta friendship would have been so good. Miss Suzanne Collins, let me talk to you. And then Gale is talking to Katniss and he's like, it'd be better if he were easier to hate. So like, there's no reason for there to be like I mean, obviously they like the same girl, whatever, but sorry, I need to turn the camera on again to just read this quote. Especially because I've been seeing book Twitter a lot lately being like, Gale's not a good friend to Katniss. Finnick was so much better. Like, I love Finnick, obviously. But the audacity. So I would just like to read this quote from Miss Everdeen herself. I do plan on saying one or two things to him after the reaping, when we're allowed an hour for goodbyes. To let Gale know how essential he's been to me all these years. How much better my life has been for knowing him. For loving him. Even if it's only in the limited way that I can manage. Hook me up! And then it gets even sadder because she's like, but I never get the chance because she doesn't get to say goodbye after the reaping. So just kill me even more. So it feels like it's been a minute since I updated, even though it really hasn't been that long. But we're at like the second half of the book now, or like more than that, I don't know. I consider it the second half because like the first half is in District 12 and the second is the arena again. But before we get into the arena, we get Haymitch's story, which is one of the most interesting parts of the book and one of the biggest things that like if you've only watched the movies, you're missing this like big chunk.
Sorry, my cat too. Am I muted?
And the fact that the person he went in with is Madge's aunt and Katniss's mother's friend. There's so much that could be unpacked there, and a prequel of them would have been so great, but instead we're getting President Snow. I feel like you should look at Whitney's cat right now. Look at Gordon. He's such a cute boy. We love him so much. Gordon Cam. Okay, back to me. Also, I think it's interesting how much Haymitch's games kind of mirrored Katniss and Peeta's, like in little ways. Like with Haymitch kind of mocking the Capitol in his own way, and like him holding Mace Lee's hand while she died. And then we finally get my other love, everyone's love, Finnick Odair. I love Gale with my whole heart, but he's almost more like my baby who I need to protect. But Finnick is like anywhere, anytime, name the place.
Because I'll be there for him. With open arms, and open legs, and an open mouth.
But also, we learn his backstory in Mockingjay, so it's also kind of like, but for now, we'll just be like, 60-60. And this is probably going to be a unpopular opinion. He's actually my second ship for Katniss. I just think there's some chemistry there. I know there's like an age difference, so not great. But like, they're cute. I'm not gonna deny it. And I just love Finnick, so I'm like, I want a love interest for him. Obviously he has Annie, but we don't really see that much of Annie, and what we do, like, nothing really connects me to them. I've never been a big shipper of Finnick and Annie. That's my opinion. But yeah, I love Finnick and the way that he just oozes this sensuality that Suzanne Collins writes so good. Also, I realized that the movie pretty much follows the book to a T with Finnick's lines, so that's very nice. Also, I actually put like a, you know, thing I love tab on something Peeta said. I thought it was a good line. He's talking to Katniss and he says, having an eye for beauty isn't the same thing as a weakness, Peeta points out, except possibly when it comes to you. I'll give it to him there. It was good. Did it happen in the movies? No. Something else I've realized is I hate the whole like the victors teasing Katniss about being pure or whatever. I don't understand why that was a plot point. It was just really weird, and like Chaff kissing her like on the lips. Kind of sexual assault because she did not consent. Joanna stripping down is whatever, but like I don't like this idea that they just want to like make her, I don't know, like kind of mock her because she's pure, and Peeta's like, oh, they're just teasing you. I'm like, well, it's a little weird to tease a 17-year-old girl about being pure. I don't know, it's like it's a double standard for women too. I realized this reread that I don't like that. I wish that was just not included because it really wasn't necessary. I don't feel like it added anything. I do, however, wish in the elevator scene there's like some chit chat between Joanna and Katniss that we don't get in the movie, which would have been nice because you see Joanna as like more of her personality. And then we see Darius as an Avox, and it hurts my soul and it reminds her of Gale, and we're not gonna think about it. Probably one of the funniest lines of this book is like Haymitch wants them to make friends and find allies, and Katniss is like, I don't want to do that, but she tries, and she goes, great. Now I have to go back and tell him, Mitch, I want an 80-year-old and nuts and bolts for my allies. He'll love that. That's my girl, and that would honestly be me. I would probably pick like the outsiders if I had to like team up with someone. So Katniss is just really relatable even when she's not. Like, there's a lot of ways that I don't relate to Katniss. Like, she's so much tougher than me, but kind of her personality and just her shyness, I guess, or her lack of people skills and stuff, I relate to very much. And now I'm gonna go back to reading. I really didn't need to update right now, but I thought I did, and then I talked for 6 minutes, so that's fun. All right, friends, much to I'm sure everyone's delight, I am here with my final Catching Fire update. Finished the book last night. Kind of surprising I didn't have like anything to really update about during the actual games, considering I've had so much to say for the rest of the book. But I feel like the games is definitely one of the parts of the entire Hunger Games series that I really know like the back of my hand. All the events that happened in it for some reason are very ingrained in my mind. Mostly the best part about it is that we get Finnick content, and I think I've said in this vlog that I didn't really ship Finnick and Annie that much, and while that still holds true, I will say anytime that he got like emotional about Annie or Mags, I was so emotional, my boy. Also absolutely love Joanna because she's just chaotic, angry, the bluntest character in this series. One part I found interesting was when Katniss was going through having to eventually split from the Alliance and thinking about who she would have to kill. And basically she's like, I can't kill Finnick because he's done so much and like I genuinely like him now. But I thought it was so funny when she was like, Joanna, I would have no problem killing to protect Peeta. In fact, I could probably just kill her to shut her up. I feel like a lot of people want protagonists that are willing to kill more, and Katniss is kind of one of them. Like, I don't think she likes it or like takes enjoyment out of it, and if she had killed Joanna, like if things were very different, I think it probably would have scarred her regardless because who she is, and also she would have thought that she died anyway, so that's why she probably didn't care as well. I am rambling, but I just thought that was an interesting part when she was like, I don't give a fuck, I'd take her out right now. I also think one of the reasons I didn't have as much to say is because the arena, I would say, is for kind of like the Peeta stands and the Peeta Katniss stands. Like, they have a lot of moments in this, which are fine. Like I said, I don't dislike it, I don't like it, but I'm not like, they're one of the ships where I don't ship what the fandom ships and what the canon is, but I don't read it and be like, ew, disgusting, I can't stand this. I do like, though, that Suzanne gives me one last Gale moment at the very end of the book, and one last Gale Katniss quote. This is after she kind of went berserk on Haymitch when he told her that Peeta was taken by the Capitol and she'd been knocked out a lot and like kept knocking herself out because she like didn't want to talk to anyone. She was pissed off. She says, until one time I open my eyes and find someone I cannot black out looking down at me. Someone who will not plead or explain or think he can alter my design with entreaties. Because he alone really knows how I operate. He alone really knows how I operate. Bury me in a grave alive. So I think that's all my thoughts on Catching Fire. I've had so much to say that it feels weird that I didn't say more at the end of this vlog, but I think I've exhausted even myself. And I don't even know how many of you stuck around for this because I'm sure I annoyed the hell out of you. I will say I think I can officially say that this is my favorite book in the series. I've always like been a little unsure about, is it the first or the second, because the first is just so nostalgic in the way that it introduces you to everything. But I mean, if this says anything, look at all those freaking tabs. Oh my god. So obviously I'm going to continue my rereading of this series with Mockingjay. I'm planning for it to have its own vlog just like this one did, and I'm a little nervous because Mockingjay is definitely my least favorite in the series, and I've always had a lot of problems with it, so I think that's gonna make for a very interesting vlog. You're gonna see all my even more possibly unpopular opinions. I don't know, I feel like when I say I didn't love Mockingjay, people assume it's just because I love Gale, but there's so much more to it that like disappointed me, and it's gonna be interesting. Sometimes I feel weird, or like I almost feel like I have imposter syndrome sometimes when it comes to this series, just because I don't love Mockingjay, which is so fucking stupid because it can still be my favorite series and I cannot like the conclusion. But I don't know, I have thoughts and opinions, and you'll see them in that vlog, so I'll shut up for now. If you made it through this video, thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll tune into the next one. I'll see y'all in my next video.